Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of Triple D Sports Talk with Dan, and Dylan.
I'm Dylan Police. I'm a huge Philly sports fan, but most of all, an NFL fan. Go Birds.
I'm Dan Wolfel, huge hockey fan, love all Philly teams.
And I'm Daniel Curcio, and we have a great lineup here for you today, talking about topics such as NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, NBA draft, NFL draft. But first, we're going to jump right into it and talk about who we think is the greatest player of all time in both the NFL and NBA.
I think we're all in agreement that Tom Brady is the greatest player of all time in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, but I could hear, because obviously Brady, he's got stats, and obviously he's got the 5 rings, which has never been done before. But
he's not done yet.
Yeah, and the team is only going to get better. They didn't have Gronk, they didn't have Brandon Cooks.
Right.
Add them both into the lineup, and the team that already won the Super Bowl is now that much better.
Right. What do you think about them losing Blunt, though?
Well, he went to the Birds, which I'm hyped about.
And Martellus Bennett.
Yep.
Well, the thing about Bennett was they didn't really use Bennett. I mean,
towards the end of the season, he lit up.
I had him in fantasy, and he was getting me about 2 points a game. So that's all I remember about him. I wasn't, but as far as the greatest quarterback of all time, I could hear an argument for Peyton Manning because the two most important stats for a quarterback are passing touchdowns and passing yards, and he has both.
He leads both, yeah.
So, a lot of people will say Peyton Manning. I think the 5 rings is too much to overcome. But So, as far as the NBA, Dan, who you got for the greatest player of all time?
LeBron James. Guy can do almost practically anything.
Yeah, I gotta say LeBron James too. He came out of high school, came to the Cavs. It was a storybook kind of story. And he made an instant impact. 19-year-old made an instant impact in a professional basketball league, and still is today. And
I got Michael Jordan as the greatest player of all time. So, and that simply, I see why people say LeBron. He's probably the greatest player of all time. But if you look at what Jordan did with the 6 rings, 6 and 6 in the finals, plus their stats are so similar that I think that the 6 rings puts Jordan over the top.
Right. So we can agree that Kobe's out of the picture, right?
Well, I got Kobe ahead of LeBron, but that's we'll get back to that.
Look at the stat chart, and we can see that LeBron has better stats in every single category: points, rebounds, assists.
Yeah, than Kobe. But
he's got him beating everything except for rings.
As far as Jordan, though, not only does he have the rings, but he also is a better scorer than LeBron, points per game, and more steals per game, and he was regarded as one of the greatest defenders of all time. So that's why I got MJ.
So LeBron versus MJ 1-on-1, and they're both in their prime. Who do you got?
I don't know.
I feel like 1-on-1 is a different story.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it also kind of like not necessarily off topic, but it kind of strays away from the greatest of all time question. I think if you're starting a dynasty and you have to pick one person of all history of NBA, I think you got to go LeBron.
LeBron James.
I mean,
that's hard to argue with. I mean, if I'm trying to win the championship, and I could pick I cannot see how I would turn down MJ if I'm trying to win the championship. But as far as building around a guy, LeBron's a guy who could do it all. I understand that. Going back to the 1-on-1, I've seen interviews of guys saying Kobe. Matt Barnes was saying Kobe never lost in 1-on-1 with anyone he played. So as far as that question, I think Kobe would beat anybody. But that's obviously
1-on-1 is an entirely different game of basketball.
Yeah, Shaq would probably.
Not to mention
Shaq playing Isaiah Thomas is going to be different than, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not to mention that Kobe came in right off the draft with Shaquille O'Neal, one of the greatest centers of all time.
That's true. That's true.
And LeBron had little to no help when he was first coming into the league. When he made that instant impact, he didn't get a top 5 draft pick, top 10 draft pick.
Yeah.
Because he instantly impacted the team and just put them through the roof.
Yeah. And LeBron and Kobe, both guys that came out of high school. Obviously, MJ went to North Carolina. So that's another thing to look at. But, I mean, LeBron's still going, so I could easily see him passing LeBron. If LeBron gets any more rings, I think it's going to be very hard to say that MJ is still ahead of him all time.
Imagine those two on the same team.
Teams would be getting 50-piece every game.
Moving on to the MMA and boxing world, Conor McGregor signed his deal for the Floyd Mayweather fight. It was $75 million. He got what he wanted. He could want more in the future. Floyd Mayweather, he's he wants $100 million. Dana White is willing to offer him that, but he very well could want more just to come out of retirement. They're eyeing up a fall 2017 date for the fight itself. If this fight were to happen, guys, who do you guys have?
Wolf.
I got Conor. Conor's younger, and I don't think Floyd's ever seen a guy like Conor before.
I got Conor. I got Conor as well, but I would not be surprised if Floyd won that fight. The thing is, Floyd, at least I watched the Pacquiao fight. Floyd does not seem to have the
Any
knockout
knockout power.
He doesn't have the knockout power that he used to. He's 40 years old. Conor's in his prime. Has he ever seen anyone like with a left hand like Conor?
Conor's vicious, man.
I mean, he could take a punch. Like, obviously, I don't see Floyd dancing around for 12 rounds and winning the fight off a decision. But who do you got, Dylan?
Yeah, I think I got Conor, honestly, and I think it'll be a knockout early. Really, like, maybe in the 3rd or 5th round. There's going to be 15 rounds because it's going to be a boxing match. I think Conor's just going to absolutely dominate him.
And the thing is, I would have liked to see this fight more if it was Mayweather in his prime.
Yeah.
Because a 40-year-old Mayweather is a different question than Mayweather 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, but if this fight does happen, it's going to be insane. And obviously, we've never seen anything like this, a boxer MMA guy.
It's going to be great entertainment. I'll tell you that much.
Transitioning to the NHL playoffs, Predators won in 6 games against the Anaheim Ducks, 4-2. And then on the east side, we got the Senators and Penguins squaring off tonight in Pittsburgh, Game 7. I got the Senators, man. The Senators got a lot of fight in them. They're not a team that'll back down from any team. They're not afraid of Pittsburgh. I can tell you that.
And they showed that they're not going to back. The game 5, in Pittsburgh, I believe it was. It was in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
They lost 7-0.
Yep.
Okay, they lost 7-0. Now they're down 3-2. A lot of teams are going to lay down after getting beat 7. They came back, won the next game. They're forcing a Game 7. So
That's happened
obviously-
3 times this year.
yeah, I saw a stat every time in the NHL playoffs a team lost by 4 or more goals this year, they won the next game. So that's an interesting
Listen
stat.
to this one. Senators are 0-5 in Game 7s, and the Penguins are 0-7 Game 7 at home after losing Game 6.
Really?
Yeah.
So
This should be interesting.
I know. All I know is the Penguins. Crosby. I don't watch a ton of hockey. I've been watching a lot of the playoffs. Crosby looks literally unstoppable. He sits in front of the net. He deflects it.
Yep.
He'll shoot. He'll skate on the break. Like,
Literally, the man can do anything.
he could do anything. And I don't know if he flips a switch tonight.
Yep.
what-
You also have to remember the Pens they're battling with a lot of injuries. They lost at least 3 of their defensemen: Trevor Daley, Chris Letang, and Oli Mata.
I think it was Schultz, not Mata.
Yeah, it was Schultz. That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, but who do you got in the cup?
Got the Nashville Predators, man.
And who else?
I got the Ottawa Senators.
Senators and Predators.
Yep.
And you got the Predators beating the Senators.
I got the Preds beating the Senators, even though they're dealing with a lot of injuries, especially at the center spot. This is where depth comes in the NHL. This is why these general managers, they make these trades at the deadline.
Yeah.
They look for depth. They don't look for talent on the first line. They look for depth.
Yeah, and the thing, this Pens and Sens game tonight, I got the Penguins tonight, and then I got the Penguins going on to beat the Predators in the Cup.
Yep.
But that's just because Pittsburgh looked absolutely unstoppable at home in Game 5.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh's got some vets who have been there before. They've won it before, and the Senators have a lot of fight in them. I would not be surprised if they won, but as of now, I got the Penguins.
All right, so transitioning to the NBA playoffs, the Warriors are coming off their second sweep of the year.
Shocker.
Yeah.
It's they're the first. If they make it to the finals this year, they'll be the first team to make 3 straight finals since the 2011 to 2014 Heat, which LeBron was a part of.
Yeah. So, the question is,
This could potentially be LeBron's 7th year in a row going to the finals.
No. He was a part of the 2011-2014 Heat that went to the finals 3
Yeah,
years.
Yeah, but I think
This
it
is-
is going to be like his
yeah.
7th year in a row.
Really?
Because, I mean, well, there hasn't been a lot of competition in the East ever
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
in the last, like, however
Sixers,
long.
though, they're on the come up. They're on the come up.
He's going to have some trouble with the Sixers in a couple years. But, I mean, if LeBron falls out of his prime even a little bit when the Sixers are turning on. But anyway, as far as the playoffs, the Cavs are up 3-1 right now on the Celtics. Everybody know it's gonna be Cavs Warriors, and that is gonna be interesting. Wolf, who
Yep.
do you have winning that?
I got the Cavs. Cavs going all the way.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take the Cavs just because
Really?
they're going to really want it again for the land. You got the Warriors with a star-studded roster, and they're really just kind of playing. They're not playing for each other. They're playing for themselves.
Yeah.
Well, I got the Warriors. I mean, obviously, last year I doubted LeBron, and the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. Yeah,
Classic.
and then, so I mean,
Yeah,
I
that
guess
could
that's
happen in the Celtics-Cavs series.
so. I'm
Never
not. Yeah, it could. I mean, but I'm not ever. It's tough for me to speak against LeBron in a finals, seeing what he did last year against the same team. But the Warriors tacked on KD from last year. Just tack on one of the best players in the league. I don't see how they could lose. They look unstoppable. The West is tougher than the East, and they're still undefeated.
Let's go back to their last series, though, against the Spurs. Is Leonard missing those last 2 games? Well, 2.5 games, basically. Was that a big factor in their sweep?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
But
Oh, yeah.
I think the Warriors still wouldn't have won the series. Regardless if he was hurt, I think the Warriors just have too much firepower, and the Spurs can't overcome that.
I would agree with that, but I don't think they would have swept them. I mean,
Yeah.
because they were the game where, well, we could talk about the Zaza Pachulia closeout in a couple minutes, but I mean, in that game the Warriors were down like 27 or something, like 25. I don't know exactly what it was. You're telling me if Kawhi was still there, they're gonna come back and win that game, and the Spurs are gonna let that happen? I don't see it, but I think yes, they would have won the series either way. But the Zaza closeout, you saw the video.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I don't think it was intentional,
Yeah.
but who knows?
Watching it as
these
a
guys are good at acting.
Yeah. Well.
It's a big coincidence that the number 1 player on a team goes down.
Yeah, and watching the play as like, because I think to the casual fan, it didn't even look like as jarring as like the Draymond Green kicking Steven Adams and the balls like that. I think it's much less obvious than that, but it was a weird closeout. I mean, Popovich was mad about it. Did you guys see that interview? He was like, that was just an unnatural closeout. Zaza's done that. He has a record of doing this stuff before. But the thing is, it really didn't look like much watching the clip. But
When I say acting, I'm talking about on Zaza's part.
yeah.
So, transitioning back over, just this past weekend, the NBA finalists were announced. It was
NBA MVP race.
the MVP race finalists, It was Russ, Harden, and Leonard.
Someone's missing.
So somebody is missing out of that list. I don't know how it happened, but LeBron did not make the list. Somehow, I don't know, whoever picks those finalists need to reevaluate.
You think it should be a fan vote
It should be a fan vote, not
for the
honestly.
finals?
Well, the thing about the fans is they're goofy with it. Like,
Yeah, for example, in the
you know-
NHL last year, they chose John Scott to be in the All-Star.
Yeah, like me, I know us three would be voting for Joel Embiid every
course.
5 minutes to get the MVP. So I don't know about it, but I don't know about a fan vote, but the committee or whoever it is, I think this was kind of done intentionally because it's not like they just forgot about LeBron. Like they consciously
you can't forget about LeBron.
they consciously
the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, like they consciously left LeBron out with the concept of, we can't give it to LeBron every year.
Right.
If we literally
Good point.
looked at who the best player is, the most valuable player, it's going to be LeBron every year. Mm-hmm. Whether or not that's true, that's how they vote, and that's why LeBron got left out. Whether or not it's right.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I think we all would pick LeBron to be the MVP. But since he's out of the question, out of those three, Russ, Harden, and Leonard, who do you guys have?
I got Russ, man. That guy can practically do anything. He averages a triple-double almost almost every game.
And he got Oscars.
But I wouldn't mind seeing James Harden as the MVP. That guy did a lot. He did a lot Also, he beat Russell Westbrook. He
Yeah.
beat Russell Westbrook in the NBA.
I mean,
playoffs.
Harden's got that argument to make.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be MVP. I'm supposed to be MVP.
But both of the guys don't have much around them.
Yeah,
I mean, all three of them are out of the playoffs at this point in time.
Yeah.
So
Well, the thing about LeBron, I think you shouldn't give it to LeBron every year, but I think this year I would give the MVP to Russ above LeBron because obviously averaging the triple-double brought a horrible team to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
If Russ wasn't on that team, who knows what they do? And obviously, as I said, the triple-double is ridiculous. It rarely has ever been done before in history. He had one of the best seasons of all time. So I got Russ winning the MVP.
There's a lot of controversy about him padding his stats, though. His teammates intentionally try to pad his stats.
Yeah,
Is that true? You think that's true, or is that just conspiracy?
One superstar on
Exactly. I mean, he's taking all the shots. He's going to get the most points. But I mean, can you even say that because he's averaging 10 assists a game? So can you say he's? I definitely think he's a ball. He kind of is a ball hog, but he kind of has to be. With he has no weapons. But
so moving on to the NBA draft. You finish your thought, right?
Yeah.
So moving on to the NBA draft. The lottery also happened this. I think it was last week. The Sixers ended up with the third pick, and Lakers next year first round pick unprotected. So wherever that could go. The first pick was the Celtics. The second pick was the Lakers, and the third the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different scenarios everybody's talking about. What do you guys think?
I think the Celtics are going to get Fultz, and the Lakers, they have the easiest pick of the draft. Second pick, they're going to get Lonzo Ball. And personally, I think the Sixers are going to trade down to the Kings for the 5 and 10, and they're going to pick Monk and Collins from Gonzaga.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I think the Celtics will take Fultz. I do not see them not taking Fultz. But there's a lot of speculation
that they're going to trade back.
They might trade the pick to somebody else, or they might take Fultz, trade Isaiah Thomas, or they might just not take Fultz and pick somebody else because they have Isaiah Thomas. So if that happens, and the Lakers
they got Brooklyn's next year's pick.
Jeez, man.
And
that trade.
That's the first pick.
I think it's unprotected. I mean,
damn.
You got to check that
few
stat,
years for the
but
Brooklyn Nets fans.
Yeah.
They've had a painful entire
the Nets
existence.
The Nets single-handedly created a dynasty in Boston.
Yeah, if
like they haven't enough. With
Yeah,
the
I know.
Patriots.
Well, like.
Yeah, their general manager has contributed more to Boston than he has Brooklyn.
Exactly.
So the Celtics could potentially have. Let me get this straight. The Celtics next year
could potentially have the number one overall.
Could potentially have the number one overall
I mean, if we
pick.
check their stats, I'm not sure exactly what the details of the trade were. If there was protection on that pick for 2018, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure it was unprotected, just like this year.
So they could look and have Fultz, Thomas, or both, obviously, or so they would have Fultz and Thomas, or trade whatever trade they're going to do to get more picks, and then the number one pick next year of the Nets. So that's pretty disgusting, especially considering they just went to the finals, and they're going to have to get taken down by LeBron. I mean,
Are they going to pursue Paul George, you think?
I think it's about the Pacers pursuing Boston and not Boston pursuing Paul George.
Yeah. I mean, Paul George, if he's looking for someplace to go, I mean, we got plenty of money in Philly, and we'll pay him whatever he wants. And then imagine that, Paul George. Well, hold on. First of all, who are we going to pick with 3? So let's say it goes Fultz and Ball. Who are we going to pick?
Well, you heard my take. I think we're going to trade down. Yeah.
What do you think, Don?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, you got
Josh Jackson.
Yeah, you got the Jackson kid there.
But he's not a guard.
We got a lot of holes on our team, so we could really go anywhere and still be in good shape.
Guys love Monk. People love Malik Monk. I love him. At 3, when Monk, I think it's a little bit of a reach, but are we worried about not making a reach, or are we worried about getting the best fit for our team? Because
that's true.
That's another instance where I think trading down makes sense. But I think at 3, I kind of want De'Aaron Fox. I want Josh Jackson. I want one of those guys to come in immediately and have an impact.
You think Boston would accept the trade from Philly for the first overall pick? Philly trades their third overall pick in Jalil. You think they'd accept that?
I think they're open. I think they're open to trades because they don't seem like they're enamored with Fultz like that. Yeah. But I don't know, Jalil. I mean, he hasn't really been relevant since like 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
Boston had early interest in Jalil earlier this year. Yeah.
So I mean, if we spice it up a little bit with like a third, like in a couple years a second round pick, but as of now I would say no. But who knows? I mean, clearly they have Thomas. They don't need Thomas and Fultz. But I think the Sixers are going to be pretty scary coming up
Lethal.
soon.
Yep.
So, keeping on the NBA topic, LeVar Ball has gotten himself. Obviously, he's in the news all the time, but he had the last straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people. He said when Kyrie said something about LeVar overriding Lonzo, taking control of Lonzo, and then LeVar snapped back by saying, basically, Kyrie's mom died at a young age. He didn't say that. He said Kyrie didn't have a mom in the house.
The quote was taken completely out of context.
Yeah, it was a little...
As usual.
It was a little out of context, but he did say, Kyrie didn't have a mom in the house.
Don't
That's
get me
why
wrong.
he doesn't understand.
He still said it, but the media made it sound 10 times worse than it
Yeah,
actually
I saw
was.
on Twitter, it was like, Kyrie didn't have a mom in the house, ... Something's got to change.
Yeah.
Well, what LeVar meant when he said that was he didn't have a mother and a father both to raise him like I'm raising my kid. He doesn't know how I should have to raise my kid. He also said Kyrie doesn't have kids, so he doesn't know, which Kyrie does have a kid. But LeVar, I think he's funny. I think he's kind of crazy. I like him. I think this is a little This is a little too much here.
I think
dead
once
mom.
his kids get into the league, he's got to tone it down a little bit,
Absolutely.
or he's going to create some problems for whoever gets Lonzo.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for Lonzo. I mean, I like LeVar. He gives awesome sound bites. Whitlock, the big commentator Whitlock said he's got to ease off Lonzo, and then LeVar says the only thing Whitlock can commentate on is snacks. Was what he said about. So like that's funny. Like obviously, if
He
you
has
take it
no
serious,
filter, but it's
Absolutely
still
no
he's
filter.
having fun, and he's getting the job done. We're talking about it right now.
Exactly.
Everybody around is talking about all his kids.
Yeah.
His $3 billion shoe deal for his three sons.
I mean, the other two sons, are they even relevant? Like, I mean, they're both good. Like
The young one,
the young one in high school.
what's his name?
To say they're gonna make $3 billion.
Yeah. It's a reach, but
LaMelo.
LaMelo, that's the
The
young
kid
guy.
who dropped like 90 in a game or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying, yeah, LeVar is outspoken on purpose. If you take it seriously, you're gonna hate him. If you look at it lightheartedly, you're gonna think it's kind of funny. But as far as talking about Kyrie's dead mom, a little much. No matter how you look at it.
Yeah. So moving back to the NFL and some news there. This past Tuesday, Megatron came out with a statement, and he was disappointed with the Lions that they're leaving in March. He didn't get any special treatment whatsoever. I mean, you got Peyton Manning over in Indianapolis and in Denver.
They're
throwing parties. He's got statues,
Yeah.
all kinds of celebrations for him. And Megatron really hasn't gotten anything. And on top of all that, the Lions made him pay back that the signing bonus to the team of $325,000. So
Yeah.
I mean, Megatron literally made that team for
yeah.
a long time,
And
he was
obviously-
the franchise player for them.
I
until
don't know.
Stafford
I
came
don't know what
along.
all the contractual legal stuff was with paying back the signing bonus. They're disrespecting the guy. I mean, he's probably a top 5 line of all time. I mean, Barry Sanders. There's a couple guys throughout history, but he's one of the greatest players they've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think soon they'll put up a statue or something. I think they're still mad that he retired, pretty much in his prime.
Yeah.
But
Well, he was battling with a lot of injuries, right? Yeah, neck injuries. Was it neck or concussion?
He was banged up.
And the year he was on the cover of Madden, he broke all those records. He was playing with 3 broken fingers.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's not greatness, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I know. Because Peyton Manning
Madden
retires.
curse got to him, or?
Man curse did get to him, but he overcame it somehow.
Peyton Manning retires. They're throwing fiestas, having parades in the street. It's disrespectful to not even honor one of your greatest players in your franchise history like that.
Yeah,
And he's
exactly.
one of the greatest receivers that we've ever seen as 17-year-olds.
So also in the NFL, OTAs began this past Wednesday. Yesterday for us, we're recording this on a Thursday. The Eagles, 3 faces were missing. 2 of them were very big, and the other not so. So Fletcher Cox was missing, Jason Peters was missing, and our punter Donnie Jones.
That's
I love
asinine.
Donnie
That's
Jones.
asinine.
The goat.
It's
The goat.
absolutely
He
asinine that these guys
he missed
are missing.
the workout.
Especially for Fletcher Cox.
Peterson talked about it. He said he'd like everyone there, but he understands that these workouts are completely optional.
It's OT. The O is there for a reason. It's optional.
Yeah.
I still think. I mean, if you want to get better, I think you got to go. But I'm not
I mean,
pissed
if
off.
you're a
with them,
leader,
like-
if you're a leader on that team, which they are, Cox and Peters, they should be there.
That's true.
And they're
That's
getting
true.
paid. Cox just got paid huge.
I know.
Got paid, what was it? Was 6 years, 103 mil?
It's something insane.
Something big.
That's outrageous.
And now I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, because he's the best player.
yeah.
He's probably the best player on the defense, aside of like Malcolm Jenkins. Can't really compare them, but I mean, I'm fine with the guy skipping OTAs. But if you're the team captain, I think he's got to show up sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So the draft also just passed not too long ago.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? We got Derek Barnett at number, what was it, 14?
14
we picked. We got Derek Barnett, defensive end out of, was it Tennessee, I think?
Tennessee.
And then in the second round, I absolutely love this pick.
Yep.
Sidney Jones. I was wishing that we got him, and I'm extremely happy about this. We also picked up a few wide receivers and a couple cornerbacks. So what's your guys' take on our draft?
Barnett, I think he was a good pick, especially since the Saints stole our guy, Marshawn Lattimore, right in front of us. Look at the Eagles' D-line. We got Fletcher Cox, we got Brandon Graham. We just got Jernigan from Baltimore.
Ravens,
And I'm happy about. At first, when the draft, because we were at the draft, we were there live as they were calling the picks, all three of us.
Cowboys O-line versus Eagles D-line. That's gonna be
It's
gonna be
It's going to be an
fun.
interesting 2 games that we see
but-
this year.
Oh yeah.
But the thing about Barnett, as I was watching the picks, I wish we would have took Malik Hooker, because I think he was a top. Obviously, we have Jenkins, and we're not necessarily that desperate at safety, but I think he was a top 3 player in the draft, and we could have got him at 14. And I mean, the Colts got him, but I'm fine with the Derek Barnett pick. We lost Barwin, so we needed a guy to step up for him. Love the Sidney Jones pick. Needed a corner. Hopefully, he gets healthy sooner rather than later. So when's he supposed to come back? Like 6 weeks. 8 weeks?
I mean, personally, I hope he misses the entire year next year just to keep it safe.
Yeah.
There's no need to throw him in at whatever it is, week 8, week 7.
We're a 9-7 team this year, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about.
So moving on to wide receiver, we got a few picks at wide receiver that we took, and we also had a big addition, Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And we also got Torrey Smith. So what do you guys think there? You think the competition is going to be a little more taken up a notch? Is it Nelly's last year? Is he going to step it up? What kind of impact is Alshon going to have on the team?
Well, let's start off, obviously, Jeffrey. When he first came into the league, he was a top 3 receiver in the league, and it's as simple as that. And he's still, obviously, in the last few years, he's been at the top in yards and touchdowns. So hopefully he keeps that up. Obviously, Wentz has finally got a receiver. His number 1 receiver is now a 2-3 guy. So, or as far as I meant, Jordan Matthews being a 1, now going to a 2 or 3, like in the slot.
Yeah.
So Wentz has got weapons, tons of receivers. What do you
I think Nelly's gonna step it up this year.
I agree with that.
Because his biggest problem last year is he couldn't handle the pressure.
Yeah.
And now he's got
a
Torrey
lot
Smith.
of pressure came off.
And
of
it's
him now.
not. He has a lot of
Torrey
drops.
Smith, Alshon.
He has a lot of drops. And I'm not trying to be too sympathetic to him. Obviously, I'm as pissed off as anybody else when he
Right.
drops the ball. But it's not because he doesn't have hands. It's because when he's nervous and he gets a slant route and 100 miles an hour at his chest, he gets nervous and he can't hold on to it.
Yeah, he really got thrown into that number 2 spot. And
Yeah.
I think him switching in, whether it's with some of the rookies that we got or with Matthews or Torrey Smith, whoever ends up when the depth chart comes out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alshon's going to be number 1. But
Yeah.
I think him switching out in is going to help him out a lot. It's going to take, like you said, a lot of the pressure is going to come off his shoulders. He's going to have a lot more time to learn, and he should be making some major steps forward.
The thing about Aguilar that stuck out to me earlier this year, earlier this year in his rookie season, when he first had a couple drops, it became like a meme on Twitter.
Yeah,
and
you got to know he's seeing that.
Yeah, and obviously he's like a 22-year-old kid. 22-year-old kid. He's on Twitter. That literally must get with your head.
Yeah, our fan base definitely did not help him out.
And then all of a sudden he starts dropping a lot more balls. So I mean, you watch his college. He didn't have drops in college. He didn't have drops. The guy just is nervous, and it's a rookie. He's a rookie. I followed Chad Johnson on Twitter. Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah.
He said when I was a rookie, I had tons of drops. Let the man develop, and I think he's going to be useful this year. If not this year, then later down the line if we keep him around.
So the team owners also had their meeting like to do every year about rule changes and whatnot. They approved the shortening of overtime from 15 minutes to 10 minutes. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, they threw a bunch of stats out saying
Is it still
that
is it still a tie after?
it's still a tie after those
still a
10
tie.
minutes.
Yep.
There
And
should never be a tie.
yeah,
should never
I feel like if anything they should have extended it or added a second overtime. But
Honestly, to me, the overtime rule, I think sudden death is cool. It's like exciting, but I think the team should get the ball. I think the other team should get the ball like they do in college, like they do in
Yeah, not
maybe not like college, like set the ball at the 30-yard line, but
Yeah,
but I mean definitely not a field goal wins it. That's stupid.
and a coin flip determines your
Exactly. That was the problem with the field goal, and
Yeah.
it's less so now. But
I think college
sick.
has the right. In all honesty, college is probably the best way to do it for overtime.
yeah,
Just the team gets the ball at the 25, you get 4 downs, whatever it is. You get a first down, you can get your extra 4 plays,
Mhm.
and you just go back and forth until it. I mean, it's entertaining. First of all,
Yeah.
it's fast paced, which is what they're trying to do to the game, obviously, because they're trying to cut down the minutes.
yeah,
And it's pretty much extremely fair. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
100% fair.
yeah. If you there's no really. I mean, there's a coin flip for what like
Who
the size.
yeah, and who goes
you want the
first,
ball
yada
for.
yada.
But I mean, a coin flip. If you get the coin flip and you score and it's over, I don't know.
yeah, I mean they added the field goal. Like if you get a field goal, you got the opportunity to tie or to win it with a touchdown. But I mean, that still doesn't do it justice.
I think the other team should always get the ball. But with that being said, why are they shortening the time of the overtime? They should make it. Honestly, they should make it like infinite. I guess they were cutting down to like try to prevent injuries or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't really know.
Well,
the
I mean,
reasoning.
they were throwing stats at you. They said that like something like 80-something% of overtime games were won within 10 minutes, and then like 10% of that the 20 that's left over were
Yeah.
ties or something like that.
A tie.
Which
is just,
still no one wants to see a tie.
nobody wants a
No one.
tie.
It's
No
it's
one.
worse than a loss.
And the thing about ties that really like it's like week 15. You're looking at the playoff scenarios.
Yeah.
This team's 7-9. This team's
Yeah.
6-8-1. Like
Yeah.
it's win, loss, or tie. Like get rid of the tie. There should not be a tie in the NFL.
Yep.
In my opinion.
It's less exciting for the fans, and it has both teams disappointed.
Yeah. A
Simple as
tie is
that,
like tie is like kissing your sister. That's what they say.
Yeah, that's old midget coach said that.
The 10 minutes. I guess they're shortening it to prevent injuries, but that's more likely to be a tie. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's different from college and NFL. I think if the NFL did what the college does, I think it's more suitable for college because the kickers in the NFL are basically automatic within 40 yards.
Yeah.
So I think if you make it that close to the goal line, it's basically going to be a field goal minimum
Well,
because the kicker's already in
I mean,
range.
you got Blair Walsh a few years
Oh,
ago.
well, the nuttiest play of all time. I mean, I don't.
But other than that, yeah, it is automatic.
Yeah.
I mean, you're expecting the kicker to make that.
I mean, in college, the guys missed extra points all the time. They miss field goals all the time. But I don't know. I think OT should be if you score a touchdown, the other team gets the ball. Toss should not be able to determine who wins the game.
So they also agreed on the roster cut down. There used to be 2 deadlines. I think it was like week 2 or something. You would cut your 90 man roster down to 75, and then at the end of the preseason, you would cut that 75 man roster to 53. Now they're just doing one deadline at the end of the preseason of 53 man roster. I mean, it's good for the young guys. It's gonna be good.
Yeah,
It's gonna
I like that.
It's gonna give them a little like. I mean, there's what it was. It's 15 guys that get cut that this week 2.
Yeah.
It's gonna give them that extra chance.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And guys that are totally capable of playing in the NFL get cut all the time.
Exactly.
Like an example comes to mind. Hard Knocks. It was the Texans either last year or 2 years ago. Charles James was like a big fan favorite. He was a corner, and he got cut. Got picked up by the Ravens. Got time on special teams. Was like a number 4 corner.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could keep guys on the team that deserve to be on the team, that's beneficial for everyone.
Not to mention, I mean, our own Chris Maragos. I'm a huge fan of him. He came over from Seattle.
He's a great guy.
He came over from Seattle after they won their Super Bowl. I personally met him. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Great guy.
But I mean, just like when he came over, he started special teams, and our special teams been lighting it up, especially last year.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the best phases of the like Coach Raza says, 3 phases of the game. It does come in handy.
Yep.
I think obviously he's one of our best special teams player, and he's working his way into that safety position.
And that's why, because guys, a lot of the guys like the 52nd, 53rd man on the roster, they would have gotten cut if they couldn't make plays on special teams. Like some of these guys live on special teams.
Yeah.
Like number 46 standing on the sideline, he's probably good on special teams. Like, and it's guys like that deserve to play. Vince Papales, I mean,
they can make a huge difference. Yeah, there you go. Vince
and they make a huge difference because when a guy takes a kickback, oh, I wish we had better special teams.
Because special teams is just as important as offense, defense.
Exactly.
You know, there's a reason these guys are on the team, and it's a shame they don't get paid as much.
Yeah, but let's actually talk about. I wanted to talk more about the draft. That we went to the draft.
Yeah, we did go.
And
the experience itself.
That was an awesome
that was
experience.
great.
The atmosphere was great. Adam Schefter even said it.
We got we got all the way to the front.
We
right on the railing. We got in for free. It was in Philly. It was free. You didn't have to pay for anything. You got a mobile app, and that they checked you in. You're in and then you're in there. And we saw Steve Mariucci riding around on golf carts.
Twice.
Yeah, we saw Steve Mariucci, John
the Hasselbeck brothers.
We saw John Gruden. Wolf we're yelling guys' names. We saw Matt Hasselbeck. Yeah. Some guy we thought was LT, but it wasn't actually LT.
It was Ryan Clark.
And then, McNabb, Ike Reese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to watch the WIP.
We got free yogurt all day.
Free yogurt all day.
Facts.
Shout out to Oikos or whatever it is. We actually saw Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was taking pictures. But the funniest thing was we saw Mooch driving by in a golf cart. It seemed like nobody really recognized him, and we all just screamed out.
Twice he saw us too.
We just screamed out to him in the golf cart. And he just looks over awkwardly, gives us the thumbs up.
Yeah, and everybody around us is just like, "Who is Mooch?"
Yeah, and then later we saw him on the stage because we were right on the railing, so we were close to the where the broadcasters
we were on the NFL Network side.
Yeah, and we're yelling to Mooch, and then he's pointing at us. Yeah, I like these guys.
I like these guys.
And he was pointing right. We're not just saying he was pointing right at us.
Yeah.
And the same thing, Wolf. What happened with John Gruden?
John Gruden. Well, it was me and Danny Curcio.
Do your impression first.
I like these guys. I'll tell you what. Dan does a better impression of him.
This John Gruden guy is absolutely one of the best announcers we have to offer.
And that's basically what I did. I did an impression of John Gruden. I called his attention. He turned around. He heard me.
He's like, my man.
My man right there.
Because it's funny because when we first saw Mooch, we were kind of starstruck.
Yeah.
And that was only the first of 10 guys.
Yeah, that was very early in the day. We went to the zip line actually, which was a long line for a mediocre ride. Let's just say that. But it was
we were
fun.
accustomed to seeing all these guys.
Yeah. I mean,
and then it ended up being the norm seeing all these. Yeah.
And then I tried to sneak back into the VIP area.
Actually got through.
I got through, but then eventually some girl called me out, and I just acted like I was talking on the phone and just walked out as fast as I could. I was
like
trying
you said,
to get beat up by something.
All you need is a lanyard and a clipboard, and you can get anywhere.
Like a neon vest, just try to look official. But I mean, no, because you see Matt Hasselbeck 2 feet away, you're like, okay, here's Mariucci. We saw Rich Eisen walking by, Gruden, anybody who's on the broadcasting teams, NFL Network, ESPN, we saw him.
I actually got a selfie with Jeffrey Loria, the Eagles owner.
Yeah,
gave me a high five,
which was really cool.
I think I went to the
we saw
bathroom at that point or
Goodell.
something.
We saw Goodell as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God, earth-shattering boos every time.
The original when he first came out to announce the Browns picks, it was ridiculous how loud it was.
We couldn't hear him.
It was so loud.
And starting off and then you would have to stop because the boos are sitting there chanting like a-hole at him. Like obviously Philly fans relentless.
I mean, we really changed the nature of the draft. It's never going to be the same.
And
I really hope it comes back next year again.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about moving it. They're not going to move. This was probably
Dallas actually put a bid in for it.
No.
Dallas is just trying to steal our thunder.
Yeah.
Once Chris Christie's out of office, we don't have to associate with Dallas anymore. But I mean, hey, they could put in a bid. Adam Schefter said it himself. This was probably the most electrifying draft that ever happened. Obviously, we're biased, but
yeah, of course. But
I mean, you can't be the Philly fans, Eagles. It was an awesome day.
Cheesesteaks.
And not to mention, it was 100% free.
Yeah.
It cost the train ride to get over
It
there.
really was.
And it was a great experience overall.
It's well worth it. If you haven't gone to the draft before, I suggest you go to it because
it's free to go to.
The atmosphere is great. It's a lifetime experience.
At least in Philly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And primarily Phillies fans are probably the ones listening to this. So.
Yeah.
So before we let you go here, we got one segment left. If any of you guys know anything about the NFL, NBA, you've heard Kevin Harlan, one of the most distinctive commentators. You know it's him when you hear his voice. And Dan Wolfel has a hilarious impersonation of him. And so, what do you got to say?
Which scenario do you want me to do?
I'd like to hear the drunk streaker.
Oh, yeah.
At the football game.
There was a famous clip of Kevin Harlan. Okay, so it was a Chiefs game or something like that, and a streaker runs on the field.
I think it was the 49ers Rams.
It was something
Regardless.
like that. And a streaker runs on the field, and Kevin Harlan starts announcing it like it's an actual play,
Yeah.
and it's just some idiot streaker running on the field, and it's funny, but Wolf, tell him what it sounded like.
There's a drunk guy on the field. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's running bare-chested. He turns around. They're not going to get him. Somebody stop that man. Oh, they're going to get him. And they tackle him. I don't remember the exact situation.
It went something like that. But the main point of him saying that is because it sounds so much like Kevin Harlan. And it's just funny to say.
So Kevin, all right, so commentate. Isaiah Thomas has got the ball with 8 seconds left.
Isaiah Thomas. 8 seconds, tick down to Bradley. Back to Thomas. Step back 3. Yes! There was absolutely no doubt about that one as the Celtics take a 2-point lead with .5 to go.
do Aaron Rodgers throwing a at the 50-yard line, throwing a Hail Mary, last play of the game.
3rd and 5 on the 50. There's 2 seconds left. They hike it. Rodgers drops back. Looking for an open man. He's going deep. Finds Rodgers. Yes!
And now, the last one is, so hopefully we get a little bit of luck this year. Wentz throws a slant to Jeffrey.
Carson Wentz drops back to Jeffrey over the middle. Jeffrey at the 20, at the 10. And he's going to get in, and the Eagles score another touchdown, and they lead 34 to nothing against the Dallas Cowboys.
Sneak peek. Beautiful. So
I was a little bit off there.
so that brings our first episode of our podcast, Triple D Sports Talk, to a close. We're going to be uploading Sunday nights once a week, so stop by next time, and we're going to have more news for you.
I'm Dan Wolfel.
I'm Daniel Kershaw.
And I'm Don Police.